Here lately, I've noticed that a lot of my 3 note per string runs have turned into always being straight triplets or sextuplets, like this. But there's all kinds of useful phrases that you can learn that have you using 3 note per string scales with this 16th note feel, like the one that I came up with this week to help me break out of my rhythmic rut. Check it out. Hey the kids, it's your good buddy, Uncle Ben. 3 note per string scale patterns have been on every shredder's menu since Jesus was riding dinosaurs, and a lot of the phrases tend to work really well in groups of 3s or 6s. But like I said in the intro, there's really cool ways that you can phrase inside of 3 note per string scales that allow you to access that 8th or 16th note even number kind of groove. And the phrase that I came up with today is a really great one to help you incorporate some of this stuff into your playing, practice your alternate picking, and become a better shredder today. But of course, you're going to get more out of this video if you check out the extended and ad-free cut that's only available over on my Patreon page at patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. Sign up today even for just $1 a month to get access to that video, as well as the downloadable tabs, backing tracks, and guitar profiles I'm making to go along with this lesson so you can build your perfect practice session. You're also going to get access to my month-long improv challenge that I've been doing, as well as over 700 exclusive posts and a community of awesome people just like yourself. So don't delay, sign up today over at patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. Gear-wise, I'm playing my favorite guitar ever, my Suhr Modern Satin, into the Synergy Marshall JMP module, and I got that boosted out front with the Pepers pedals Dirty Tree. Now let's get into it. First things first, let's do that hot lick again at stepdad speed. Alright, now this lick is in the guitarist of all keys, E minor, and we're going to start this off here on the A string. I want you to think about this phrase as taking place on pairs of strings. So for example, the first phrase here is going to fall within this pattern on the A and D strings. Just that symmetrical shape right there. Now here's how the phrase is going to go. Pretty easy to understand, right? We just walk up both strings and then walk back down the higher string. That right there gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 notes. You could play that as 8th notes, 2 per beat, or 16ths, 4 per beat. Now at this point, what we're going to do is rather than just restart the idea in that same position, which you definitely could do, what I've chosen to do instead to make it a little bit more interesting is to move up to the next position. So we're going to go from this pair of strings, and then we're going to take that first finger here and go up a note in the scale on the D string, and we're going to end up with this pair of strings. So again, there's our pattern. And if we play the phrasing concept, we're going to get this. After this, we're going to move our first finger up to the next note in the scale, the F sharp note here. We're going to land in this pattern, and we're going to phrase it like this. After this, move up to the next note in the scale, your C note here. That lands us in this position. So if we put that phrase over it, it's going to sound like this. Make sure that those position shifts are really clean. You know, we're not looking to slide up like that. You don't want to hear the slide. You just want to hear a really sudden shift with no break in the phrasing or anything. I'm really kind of swinging off of the thumb right here, using that pivot technique I've talked about in the past. This is going to be great to help you loosen up your thumb on the back of the neck if you're one of those players that tends to play with the old death grip kind of approach. Now, after we reach the top part of the lick, we're going to play down the same idea in its descending form. So, in other words, what we're going to do is start off with this patch of notes. And the phrase is going to be the same thing, but in reverse. So you're going to walk down both strings, and then walk back up the lower string. After this, using your little finger, shift down a position to the next lower note in the scale. That means we're going to end up in this patch of notes. And our phrasing is going to go. Shift down to the G note. Shift down to the C note. And then just put that on loop. So the descending form is going to be like this. Now, you might have heard right there, I was really emphasizing the first note of every one of those groupings. Just kind of adding in that rhythmic snap with a more aggressive pick stroke. I find that whenever you do that, you become the metronome that you're playing to. Whereas if every pick stroke feels identical, it can really get easy to get lost in the beat, especially at really high tempos. But whenever you have that right hand going, it's easier to stay in the groove. So as you practice this slowly, be sure to always practice with those accents with the pick. So there's a cool thing that happens with this phrase in regards to how it works with our pick. You'll notice that all of the string changes happen after downstrokes. So if you're like a downwards escape kind of player with your pick here, if we're using the Troy Grady cracking the code terminology, which we always are, that means this is really going to work out well for you. Just make sure that as you play this, your pick isn't necessarily going directly up and down, because otherwise you're going to get stuck in the strings. Make sure that it's really kind of hitting at an angle like this, so that the downstrokes go out and the upstrokes go into the strings. It's funny, those kinds of licks used to feel totally weird to my picking because I grew up being a downwards pick slanting player where my upstroke escaped the strings instead. But now these kind of licks are kind of like my bread and butter. This is becoming a lot more natural for me to do. And practicing licks like this really helps me get even better at it. Now, if that kind of thing feels totally foreign to you, here's what I want you to do. Missy Elliott style, flip it and reverse it in the picking hand. Start off with an upstroke. Check this out. So if we start with an up, you'll notice all the string changes happen after upstrokes. So this is one of those phrases that you can really, cater to whatever playing style you are. If you prefer to do the downstroke string changes, you can do it that way. If you prefer the upstroke string changes, you can do it that way. That's what makes licks like this really easy and handy. They only feature one type of string change with the pick, and there's not a lot of going back and forth, When you look at something like let's say Jake E. Lee's like Bark at the Moon runs, right? Part of the reason those are so hard is because they feature changes off of downstrokes and upstrokes, and they feature a whole lot of back and forth between the strings, right? Whole lot more trouble than playing something like today's lick that only features one type of string change, and after you're on a new string, you never go back, right? Think about it that way. After we get on the new string, we never go back. That makes it a whole lot easier to play licks that sound really hot, but are secretly kind of easy. That's honestly how a lot of my fastest licks are. Don't tell. So there you go, guys. A new hot lick that's sure to get you chicks and make you rich. Not guaranteed, but it does sound pretty dang cool, and it's a great way to use those familiar 3-note per string shapes in a new way that's not just the traditional triplets or sextuplets. If you want to build your perfect practice session to get that thing smoking hot, be sure to sign up over on my Patreon page at patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. Grab the guitar profiles, the practice tracks, and the downloadable tabs I made to go along with it, and it's sure to turn you into a better shredder in no time. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for notifications every time I upload a new slice of fried gold. And as you go through your week, do something good for somebody. We're all in this together, and it's up to people like us to make the world a better place, one act of kindness at a time. It really doesn't matter if it's something huge or something really small. You never know what just a random act of kindness is going to do to somebody's day. So get out there, let's be good to each other. Now let's get off the internet, grab our guitars, and get to work. Less clicking, more picking.